Good day, everyone. My name is Megan Aglawa, and I am from Zonta Club of Central Tuguegarao. Today, we are going to talk about a very important topic, and that is the empowerment of the modern Filipina woman. As I have said earlier, I am a member of Zonta Club of Central Tuguegarao. Therefore, I am what you call a Zontian. And since you're probably watching this too, you're also probably a Zontian. But for those who are not one, you may ask me, Megan, what's a Zontian? And I'm here to tell you that a Zontian is a girl or a woman who is part of an international organization geared towards the promotion of a better world for all women and girls. In our mission and vision, a better world is one wherein women and girls can participate in important decision-making activities, and is also a world wherein girls and women are not afraid of violence. In order to promote a world better for women and girls, we need to have tools that we can use in advocating for such. We usually know violence with regard to physical violence, psychological violence, or economic violence. But we rarely get to talk about violence that perpetrates every day in our community. Sexism, microaggression, or limitations just because we are a woman. That's what we are going to talk about today. How do we become more gender sensitive as Zontians in a world where we are trying to make it better for all women and girls? In order to be more gender sensitive, we have to identify the difference between two important terms, sex and gender. When we talk about the term of sex, it refers to the two categories of animals, male and female, needed for the act of mating to result in biological reproduction. Megan, what's that? That's so confusing. It only means that sex is the biological term. Sex is what is used to refer to the organ that you are born with. While when we talk about gender, the definition of it is that it refers to the differentiated social roles, behaviors, capacities, and intellectual, emotional, and social characteristics attributed by a culture to women and men. In short, gender is sociological and cultural, while sex is biological. In discussing the terms of sex and gender, we now discuss who is a Filipino woman for you. When asked different kinds of people, a Filipino woman is someone who is modest, caring, nurturing, and kind. Dr. Jose Rizal even wrote it in his letter to the young women of Malolos that a Filipino woman is, there was, it is true, an abundance of girls with agreeable manners, beautiful ways, and modest demeanor. In the paper of Eleanor Dionisio, a Filipino scholar, she describes that a Filipina woman is depicted three different ways. First, at home. Women in the Philippines are said to rule the household. Ideally, women should not earn more than their husbands. So these are the kinds of stereotypes talked about by Eleanor Dionisio in her paper. Another way that a woman is depicted at work is that they are considered to be experts in sewing, in preparing food, making ornaments, and doing other fiddly things, or mabusising bagay, or those things that specialize in finger dexterity. And lastly, a Filipino woman is depicted in the community as someone who is meek and modest. She does not pursue after a person, but if she does, it should be a man. Despite the need to be conservative, she should not shy away from day-to-day gossip, and she should be meek and shy and quiet all the time. So these are the simple stereotypes that Eleanor Dionisio enumerated in her paper. In the Filipina Child Story, authored by Corazon Remigio, this was even awarded the prestigious Palanca Award for Literature. Papel de Liha illustrates how a Filipina mother should act. My mother is so neat. If there's something icky and sticky, she rubs here and there. If the shirt is blotchy, she scrubs here and there. If the pan is greasy, she cleans here and there. The fact that this story is awarded by the prestigious Palangka Award means that it reinforces these values in Filipino women. But what about women who are not like these? What about women who are not shy, who are not modest, and who are not just merely quiet in the household? What happens to them? Women who are not like this are described as unnatural. They are described as someone who has societal disapproval. But I want to argue that we should be accepted because we should be treated as equal and as people who can participate in important decision-making not only in the home but also in the community. Here's what happens. If she doesn't know how to do housework, she's branded as a useless wife or as someone who will never be married. If she enters a male-dominated field, she's called bossy instead of a boss. She's called bitchy instead of being brave. Or she is sexualized or objectified to fit the male gaze. And if she doesn't even engage in gossiping, people tell her that she doesn't know how to make friends. Ayan, hindi marunong makisama. And the fact that these stereotypes engage are evidence that there are microaggressions, a form of minor violence against women in the community. An example of an act that goes beyond the microaggressions are these headlines being seen in our media right now. For example, The Independent, an international media organization, writes, "Father who raped his gay daughter to prove sex was better with men, jailed for 21 years. Ann Curtis reacts to netizens' comments on her muscular legs and thighs. Amal Clooney stunts in a sexy yet classy gold mini dress. These headlines in our newspapers and online media outlets are evidence that men can violate their daughters in order to correct their sexuality. That Ann Curtis, as beautiful as she is not allowed to be muscular or athletic because she should have a slender body. And that Amal Clooney, despite an international humanitarian human rights lawyer, is relegated to being just an arm candy for her husband, actor George Clooney. Instead of celebrating the unique beauty of women or their achievements, we relegate or we demote them into limitations, stereotypes, or expectations that are imposed to us by society. So, who perpetuated this stereotype? We did. And according to Eleanor Janicio, we perpetuated it through a process of gendering. Gendering is the socialization of persons into a given gender, and it starts the moment a person is born. According to Ruth Hartley, another scholar, there are 4 processes that is involved in a child's learning of gender identity. The first process is what we call manipulation, wherein people handle girls and boys differently even as infants. An example of this is that a study suggests that boy infants are thrown into the air more often than girls because it is believed, according to that study, that girls are more delicate while boys are used to being handled roughly or with more adventure. The second process is what we call canalization, which is people directing children's attention to gender-appropriate objects. We sometimes associate girls with Barbies and boys with Hot Wheels. And the fact that we dress them even before they are born is an example of canalization. The third process is what we call verbal appellation. And this is the process of telling children what they are. You're a brave boy. You're a pretty girl. Boys don't cry. Girls behave. That's just how a boy acts. Kababae mong tao. These are examples of how we try to assert gender stereotypes to children or to people at a very young age. The fourth element is activity exposure, the process that ensures that children are familiarized with gender-appropriate tasks. For example, in the Philippines, girls are encouraged to help their mother with housework and the care of younger siblings. while their brothers or their male counterparts are encouraged to play or work outside the home. So those are the 4 stages of gendering, which reinforces the rights and myths of puberty in Philippine society. For a boy turning into a man, according to Eleanor Dionisio, circumcision is the first rite of manhood. It tests the boy's courage and ability to endure pain. It is often referred to as a baptism or binyag, signaling the boy's rebirth into his adult role. Another baptism is considered to have taken place with the boy's first experience of sexual intercourse. In both cases, the passage to manhood is often a conscious choice. The boys ask for circumcision or seek out or agree to a sexual encounter, and a matter of pride. For a girl turning into a woman, however, she is not baptized into womanhood. There's no conscious choice that is involved. The turning point, menstruation, simply happens to her. And so once it has, she is warned, now you are a woman. You must be more careful. Sometimes without even explaining what she is to be careful about. Menstruation is treated as dirty and embarrassing. One myth has it that men can tell by a woman's smell whether she is menstruating or not. And this implies that he should stay away from them until she is clean again. Thus, a girl learns to associate her passage into womanhood with shame, the fear of men, and additional restrictions on her behavior. So for a man, it involves a sense of pride, but for a woman, it involves a sense of fear and shame. See the difference? As she grows old, she embodies the stereotypes that we discussed a while ago. Stereotypes being at home, stereotypes of being bossy and bitchy at work, and stereotype of being meek, modest, and quiet in the community, but someone who enjoys gossip. So now that we are aware of the stereotypes that are circulating in our community, as Zontians, we have the duty to fight against these and to champion the fact that we are more than what people tell us to be. In the wise words of our first gold Olympian, Miss Heidelin Diaz, she says, "Women can dress up, women can lift weights, women can glam up, women can be a winner, women can lead, women can be a public servant, women can be a champion. Women can be a hero, and you can't spell hero without her." Hence, no longer shall the modern Filipino woman be defined as someone who is shy, meek, or modest, but rather, she should be identified as someone who is brave, strong, independent, and decisive. Therefore, not only can we say women can, women now may, and women will. So, as a Zontian, are you ready to take on this mission? If so, please like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel.